I think this group is really interesting because we have Void, who is, you know, god gamer, like incredible at everything that he touches. We've got Jaden, who is, you know, experienced Pokemon YouTuber and has experience with the competitive. We've got Ludwig, the defending champ, and we've got BoxBox, this dark horse. So, Aaron, I guess if you had to call it right now, who do you think, like, what are the top two? Like, which two of these players are making it out of this group? What do you think?
It's my call?
It's your call.
Oh boy, that's tough.
There's only one right answer, Aaron. Just can't get it
No,
wrong.
Sykkuno's in the other group. No, I honestly, you know, I love hearing all these players talk about their experience with the game. I think, like, my money is really on Void. I think is gonna, like, do really well in this, and I'm excited to see how he plays in the bracket stage. And then after that, I'm gonna say Ludwig.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
It's a difficult group, though. I think this group is very stacked, honestly.
Honestly, any two of them could make it out, honestly.
Yeah, and what I like about Void's team, so Void's team is actually very similar to the team that I built myself for Sykkuno.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's got 4 of the 6 same Pokemon, but what Void has that Sykkuno doesn't is this awesome Hydreigon.
Yeah.
And not only like does he have this combo with like Focus Energy and Draco Meteor, so you'll just crit all your Draco Meteors even if you're dropping your own special attack. You've also got Mousehold and Amoonguss to
keep it safe.
That's right.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
You're right.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this kind of double follow me combo protecting some of these big heavy hitters, but I think let's take a look at BoxBox's team because, you know, we're talking about Void. He's obviously got tools, but so does BoxBox. Rosemary, kind of walk us through how do you break down this team and what does like your eye jump to here?
Yeah, so this is a hard Trick Room team, and you're really looking at Indeedee and Armarouge as the Trick Room setters. So that could be really difficult to end up actually getting up if the Gardevoir goes for something like Imprison. So you would block the Trick Room from being able to be used. But you still have a lot of Pokemon here that could be really powerful. I mean, Kingambit with the Assault Vest, that has so much staying power to be able to just stay alive on the field. And then that Garchomp as well. I think that Clear Amulet could be very useful. And also Terra Ground, just absolutely destroy with Earthquake.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting here is that, you know, Void clearly prepared for a Trick Room centric strategy, but you know, Gabby, BoxBox's coach, has counterplay to that, right? Imagine you lead Imprison Gardevoir against Terra Ground Earthquake Garchomp. Gardevoir is not very physically bulky. It can do a ton of damage. Pair that with Rotom, you can do a lot of damage there. So it's going to be really kind of interesting to see how these players get around it. And just for everyone at home who maybe isn't as familiar with some of these more niche moves like Imprison, the way that Imprison works is that if a Pokemon uses Imprison, the opponent's Pokemon are not able to use any moves known by the user of Imprison. So in this case, we have Imprison and Trick Room, Protect, and Dazzle Gleam and Gardevoir, which means once Imprison is activated, until that Gardevoir is knocked out, BoxBox won't be able to use Trick Room, Protect, or Dazzle Gleam on any of his Pokemon. So it's a real difficult Pokemon to play around. But once Gardevoir goes down, you do get access to those moves again. So I feel like this is kind of going to be a battle of... The question in my mind, and I'm curious your take on this, Aaron, Zhang, is do you think BoxBox is going to try and still go this Trick Room-centric strategy but focus on knocking out the Gardevoir first? Or is he going to go a different route entirely and try and find a way that, like, use the parts of his team that don't even have anything to do with Trick Room?
This is where I think the coaching is really interesting, right? It's like how much of the coach has prepared for. Like, I think, like, Trick Room Imprison in general, I would imagine, is something not like coaches explicitly told their players about before the event. But now that it's open team sheet and like the coaches have seen the sheets, like that might add a variable, right? And I do think like the thing with BoxBox's team is that like it doesn't necessarily always need Trick Room to be up in order to win because you have the Garchomp and the Rotom. So it is very much like a Trick Room centric team, but like you could go like Garchomp Rotom lead, for example. And if you KO the Gardevoir, then you can set up Trick Room with like a combo of like Indeedee, Armarouge plus Torkoal in the end game. So I think that's one really scary thing. But to answer your question, I'm not sure. It really depends on how much the coach is prepared after seeing the team sheets here.
Absolutely.
I think BoxBox actually earlier was asking, hey, what does Imprison do? So we did explain to him. And so maybe I feel like he's coming into this with some knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
If I were in BoxBox's shoes, I would just abandon Trick Room entirely and just leave that Garchomp next to that Rotom because... you know, it's nice against the Gardevoir, and also, like, BoxBox actually doesn't have that many opportunities to click Earthquake, if you look. There's not that many protects, so, you know, Earthquake hitting the whole field, you kind of got to watch out for that.
Absolutely. We're jumping into team preview now. We can actually see both players, and you know we're seeing BoxBox go with the Indeedee and Armarouge strategy. And on Void's side, I love this. You can see Void has decided exactly one Pokemon that he's leading, and that's it. Like he's like, well, I'm obviously going to bring Gardevoir here, but the rest, yeah, he's still thinking about it. BoxBox is locked in his standard 3. and locks in early. Kingambit is the 4th Pokemon. So, I mean, listen, Kingambit's good against a lot of these Pokemon, right? It's good into Gardevoir, it's good into Murkrow, it's good into Goldengo, it's probably good into some other Pokemon as well. But the question is it going to have the time to do it? Is it going to be able to get to the point where it can really make it work? So it's going to be really interesting to see what these players kind of do and how they lock in here. We'll be right back to the game momentarily. I hope, at least. Otherwise, I will simply act out what is happening.
I don't think that was Void's team. Yeah.
Like,
I was like, where's the Hydra guy?
Perhaps a more observant caster would have noticed, but Void accidentally locked in the wrong team. So we're going to be right back. We're got a bit of technical difficulties, but yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to see like an interpretive dance of what you think that.
I would love to, but I'm actually getting word over the headset that that's not TOS appropriate.
That's weird. I'm not hearing anything.
I think it's actually coming directly into my feed here. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting though, because the other thing here is that they had to kind of lock on their Pokemon here, but now they have more time to think. So I wonder if maybe it would be really interesting to see BoxBox locked in so quickly. Not that I think he brought the wrong Pokemon by any means, but with a little more time, he has the ability. He has kind of a second chance here to bring something different. So yeah. One thing I want to talk about that I don't think we talked about very much is we've been focusing so much on the Gardevoir. Gardevoir is not the only threat to Trick Room. Void also has Amoonguss. Excuse me. What a slip of the tongue. Yeah. It's very sus. Sorry. Also has this Amoonguss, which is traditionally very strong at a Trick Room. So, Rosemary, kind of what? So Aaron said he would abandon Trick Room entirely. What's your take on this? What would your approach be here if you're in BoxBox's shoes?
Well, I mean, it's a gamble, right? Because I think there's a world where BoxBox could commit to the hard Trick Room and actually get it to pay off.
Right.
That's the mind game. Is Void actually going to click Imprison, or is he going to go for something else? And is the raw threat of the Gardevoir enough to maybe make BoxBox think twice about clicking Trick Room?
Yeah. No, I think that's very fair. And we're talking so much about stopping Trick Room going up, but if it does go up, I mean, it's the centric strategy for a reason. We're back in the team preview here, this time with the correct team, and we see, gosh, I like the way that both players are picking here. We can see Gardevoir, Hydreigon, and it's a scary lead, right, guys? Like if you can get a turn and stopping attacks with Imprison, then that Hydreigon can set up a focus energy and be very threatening. But both players locking quickly here.
That's confidence.
That's confidence.
That's confidence. I mean, the other thing about the Hydreigon too, right? I know it's traditionally slower than Garchomp, but it's a great lead because it puts pressure onto the Garchomp in case that is what BoxBox decides to go for.
Absolutely. And one thing we haven't talked about in DD Armors versus Gardevoir, Hydreigon. Oh, shiny Gardevoir, so choice. Oh, yeah. I think that this turn really comes down to what is BoxBox going to click. If it's just Imprison and Trick Room, and the same turn from both players, it could be very much in Void's favor. But there is the opportunity for something like a Helping Hand and Armor Cannon. And that can do a lot of damage.
Oh, but Gardevoir is so especially bulky. It might just take it.
It might just take it.
Even with Helping Hand, you think and Life Orb.
Yeah, even with Helping Hand.
We'll have to see.
I think so.
What Terra type is on Indeedee?
They're both Terra Grass, so it's not Terra Fairy.
Wait, Indeedee has Dazzling Gleam,
though, right? They do, but Gardevoir has Imprison and Dazzling Gleam.
So is it going to pay off, though, here?
I think this could go so poorly for BoxBox, right? I feel like he essentially needs to try to KO Gardevoir immediately. If not, then, you're just locked in a turn 2. Then turn 2, Gardevoir can protect. Hydreigon can, just keep going and launching attacks off, essentially, with Draco Meteor and one-shot everything.
That's right. I think this turn is so crucial.
What's happening?
Is it gonna be Armor Cannon? Is it gonna KO? Hydreigon goes to the Focus Energy, raising its critical hit rate because of its item Scope Lens. Every attack from here on out will crit. Imprison seals Trick Room, seals Protect, seals Dazzling Gleam. But what is Armor Cannon?
Oh my God, is it enough?
Is it gonna kill?
I think it's Life Orb, right?
It's Life Orb. Oh! An incredible play, but that must have been calculated. That's an incredibly powerful attack. 120 base power with a Helping Hand with Life Orb does so much damage. But Gardevoir narrowly survives.
This is so hard now because you can just protect Draco Meteor. Armor doesn't have any damage into the Hydreigon slot, right? So Hydreigon can just keep launching Draco Meteors. The Indeedee does not have Protect either. And even if it did, it's
it was sealed. Yeah,
it was sealed. You can just keep launching Draco Meteor turn after turn after turn. And I think the one thing to maybe be careful about here is if you target Armors, you don't Terra. Well, actually, no, Indeedee can't even Dazzling Gleam. So it's actually the best thing to do is follow Meteor Switch. That was such a big survival on turn 1.
That's huge.
But here's the thing that I love. BoxBox made the perfect play.
He did.
In this situation with this lead, the perfect play.
They both honestly made the right play.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I feel like I'm
Follow me.
commentating
Another good play from BoxBox. You would not guess that he's only been playing for a little bit here. Hydreigon goes for Draco Meteor, but without a life orb. Will it KO Indeedee?
Oh,
No!
man.
A huge survive!
Oh, the Psychic Seed then.
And the read! The read!
No way.
Whoa,
Oh my
that's
God.
a lot. Okay.
So the question now is, which of these two Pokemon on Void's side of the field move first?
It's Hydreigon. We saw Focus Energy
Got
before
it.
in Prison, right?
Got
it, right.
So Gardevoir's only attack here is Dazzling Gleam, and even with all the drops from Armor Cannon normally making it very vulnerable,
Yep.
a combination of Follow Me and an attack here will basically trade Pokemon for Pokemon.
Yes.
And that means that if Void wants, he can knock out Gardevoir, or if BoxBox wants, he can knock out Gardevoir and remove the Imprison.
Yes.
They're just both playing so well. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
this
this
is so
like,
hype.
I'm very impressed. Like, if this is going to set the pace for today, like, holy cow.
Yeah. What a way to start so far. The helping hand.
Helping Hand, not a Follow Me, predicting the Draco Meteor to go into Indeedee here. Draco Meteor misses!
Oh. That's tough.
Dazzling Gleam
so
comes out. That's a
huge.
big avoid. Armor takes way less than I expected from that. That's -2 special events. Indeedee goes down, but it's done its job.
So where is this
Armor Cannon,
going?
where's it aiming?
No way.
Gardevoir.
Got it.
Okay, well, that's so big
That's
now.
really
The
big.
Imprison's gone. So if Armarouge can stay alive, and it could go for Trick Room
That's
here.
right, that's right. So a really big KO there. I mean, this Hydreigon is still threatening, but BoxBox is still in this despite really having a tough matchup, a really tough lead there. Still hanging in here and still putting up on a really good fight.
Big miss there, obviously, though,
Oh,
especially with
100%.
Indeedee not going for Follow Me there.
No,
I think if
yeah.
you
so
follow me, you at
true.
least cover for that.
Yeah.
But
It's one
yeah,
of the risks. It's one of
Yeah.
the risks of playing Draco Meteor.
Hydreigon
You know?
with Draco Meteor,
exactly. And Helping Hand, of course, would have covered for Gardevoir switching out and
Yeah.
just does more
If
damage. in
Garchomp
Garchomp
comes into that, yeah, you could easily do 70%. Kingambit, I like the switch. We know the last Pokemon is Torkoal, and if Torkoal is, coming in here, it can't really do anything. But Kingambit, that's an Assault Vest Kingambit. It's very bulky.
Does Armorage have Wide Guard?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
So
Okay.
Garchomp and Hydreigon are so well positioned right now.
We see Void really capitalizing on the offense here. That Armourouge is -3 defense and special defense. Even if it terrestrializes to grass, it will likely go down to a Terra Ground Earthquake.
Yep.
So the question is, what do you do with Hydreigon here? Because I think the Kingambit might be Terra Fairy, if I'm
It
not much
is,
mistaken.
yeah.
So
I was just Heat Wave. Send it.
yeah, just send
Yeah.
it.
The
Send it.
only fear
Go
with
for
Heat
it.
Wave is if you think like Armarouge, should it Terra, can actually survive,
The
like and
Earthquake,
actually,
yeah.
But I guess what's tough here is you can't Terra both Armarouge and Kingambit, so essentially something
Yeah.
is fainting
That's
towards Void
right.
right now.
A
This-
switch.
A little switch.
A cheeky switch.
Oh, but
He's
we're running
considering
out of
it.
time.
Uh-oh. Oh, Void, you have to go quick.
He got,
no,
okay,
Flames!
well, he got it in. He got it in.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
But this could be scary. I think the thing though is that Garchomp applies so much pressure and it's not really at risk of getting knocked out by the Kingambit. The Armarouge maybe, of course, can go for that expanding force, but this Terra from BoxBox has to be essential this turn.
Yeah, if there's no Terra this turn, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Though he is Earthquaking his own Amoonguss here.
Yeah.
With Terra Ground, and it doesn't have a recovery item. It's Rocky Helmet, so it could, if it's depending on how it's trained, it could do easily 60%. It's
It's gonna do a lot of damage.
going to do a lot of damage. What's coming out
Definitely.
here?
Oh, no, Terra!
No Terra.
That's
I
just a
don't know
double
if
KO.
Kingambit
I think
survives
Kingambit
this.
survives. I think Kingambit survives.
Oh, you got
Oh
it!
my God!
Wow.
But the Rocky Helmet and the Rough Skin, it doesn't matter where he targeted.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Kingambit's just going
my
to get
God.
knocked out here.
The
for
passive
the Iron
damage,
Head.
Iron Head does a ton of damage, but Rough Skin.
Wow.
Oh my God. Kingambit goes down, and I think the last Pokemon is Torkoal, and I
no.
don't have a lot of faith in Torkoal coming back against Garchomp, Hydreigon, and Amoonguss without Trick Room.
What's Torkoal's Terra type again?
Fire.
Oh, that's
that's
it's not gonna
rough.
cut it.
That is rough.
That's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great first couple of turns from BoxBox, though, and like to keep himself in the game for this long is super impressive. And I think he can take a lot of information away from this game number one.
It's not an easy matchup for him because
No.
he played like turn one perfectly, and I think if you actually get that knockout on a Gardevoir, it's like a completely different game, right? So
100%.
Yeah.
it's tough because like I think now you're probably realizing even though I made the right play on turns 1 and 2, it still
Yeah.
didn't work. So like maybe I just have to abandon Indeedee Armarouge and consider a different lead going into the next game.
Right, but again, you would not guess that he's only been playing for a little bit.
No,
Now,
the first 2 turns, it was
Yeah.
like that's exactly what the pros would do as well.
I
For
want to
sure.
say here, this game actually isn't guaranteed over because Torkoal's so physically bulky, it will take an Earthquake, and if Void were to let Amoonguss go down, Hydreigon does not have a 100% accurate move, and it has so much damage earlier.
he's
A
timed
timeout!
No way.
Terrifier!
Okay.
Wait, Earthquake, wait, hang on, I'm sorry, this could not be over. Earthquake, Among Us doesn't have Protect, and if the fire type attack is Flamethrower, Garchomp gave up its Dragon typing, which means it's neutral to fire, which means it might come down to whether or not Hydreigon can hit a Draco Meteor here. Earthquake comes out.
This is going to be so strong,
It's going to be really strong.
I would expect Torkoal to survive, especially if King Gambit survives, but it doesn't! Wow!
I'm shocked by that. I really thought Torkoal would survive there.
Especially after King Gambit.
After King Gambit survived.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're probably just both max HP, right?
Yeah.
Like no defensive
yeah. And they both have very high physical defense stats. So listen, I mean, it was, in the end, I think, it might have been a roll to KO. And if that happens, BoxBox had a 10% chance of winning this game, I think. And if that, given how rough the matchup looked, you've got to feel good if you're BoxBox there.
It's 10% plus hitting the heat waves as well, right?
It's Flamethrower. It's Flamethrower.
Oh, right, because he would KO the Onamunga. So then the question is whether or not he clicked
Flamethrower or like Eruption.
Yeah, exactly,
So I mean, listen, like Void was in a winning position there for sure, but it was a tough matchup. It was a really BoxBox did, I think, everything right given the leads, right? Like, there was one turn where Helping Hand was used over Follow Me, but that didn't even end up mattering, right? And so I really agree that I think that if your BoxBox there, you kind of did everything right, and it still didn't kind of come through. So I would love to see.
He got like every single turn right.
It was he did not look like a player who's been playing.
No, turns 1 and 2. If you put us in those shoes, we would make the exact same plays.
Worse.
Like,
Or
worse. Exactly.
I agree. Like the Follow Me on turn 2 is like what we would all go for, right?
Yeah.
But the Helping Hand ended up being slightly better because it targeted into the NDD slot. So those first 2 turns, I can't believe he didn't Trick Room on turn 1. What a goat.
Yeah, like I mean, like what a prediction too. Because if you're the Gardevoir there, you don't have any immediate pressure, right? Like you can't. You're like, oh, if I imprison and Helping Hand Armor Cannon knocked me out, then I could just lose immediately, right? Because then there's no way to stop Trick Room. And so really, really impressive play from BoxBox there. I think that's something that's cool about Pokemon, right? Is that sometimes you'll lose the game, but you'll still feel like you played well, and that's what I feel like with BoxBox.
I hope he knows that he played that really well too. Despite the loss, I think that's really important for your mental too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both players. I mean, that was honestly, we couldn't have asked for a better match to start today.
The other competitors must be sweating right now. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're really good. Like it was like coming into this, we just didn't know like the level of preparation that all the players had and really what their experience with the game was. But I think that's what makes this so fun, and I think innately everyone here is a gamer, right?
Yeah.
So they have some experience, whether it be competitive gaming or just casual gaming. But I'm very impressed. Like kudos to both of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to ask, if you're Void, what do you do in this second game? Because you won, but oh, boy, was it closer than you wanted it to be.
Absolutely.
So would you stick with the same Gardevoir strategy or change it up entirely?
I mean, maybe, you have the Garchomp too. You can see like Void's hovering over it, and I feel like that could be really powerful. Like if you know that you were able to get the knockout with even the Terra Ground onto the Torkoal, maybe you're preparing yourself for a switch up from BoxBox here too.
Yeah.
I like the 4 mons that he's going with because I think like Mousehold and Annihilape is kind of tough if NDD just hits the field, right? Because then you can't just go for beat up that easily. Yeah, Mousehold has safety goggles, but that doesn't work against the NDD. All right, it's mainly for Amoonguss.
So please.
Oh,
okay, cool.
Okay, he's got it. He's got it.
Once he's got all 4 locked, it's gonna pick the right ones anyway.
Yeah.
That is one thing to think about though throughout the course of this event, right? Like it's hard enough, I feel like, for us to not time out during events, and it's like when there's so many new things that you're trying to learn right now, it can be difficult. So but I don't know. That first game was so fun. I'm really excited to see how BoxBox adjusts the lead because I think the lead is where it really
Ooh, I like
starts.
the music.
Yeah, I'm saying great music choices from Void here.
I know, right?
And Indeedee and Armarouge once against a Gardevoir and Annihilape. Now this is really interesting because this is a very different position than the last time we saw these Pokemon.
And also, Void left the Mousehold at home, if I'm not mistaken. So he didn't even bring that as a combination duo.
Yes. So the reason why this is such a different situation is we saw from last game that Helping Hand and Armor Cannon isn't going to KO Gardevoir. But this turn, there's no reason not to click Expanding Force, right?
No.
And so because of that, you can Expanding Force, get that little chip on Gardevoir, and then go for Helping Hand Armor Cannon, and that's a very different game than what we saw last time.
Yes, but this Protect is gonna, he might read it.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, we don't know if Helping Hand Armor Cannon is a roll. I mean, it lived with enough HP that I think it probably is not a roll, but you know, in Pokemon, sometimes you'll have kind of these extremes.
I wonder if Void mixed things up here, like leading Annihilate to maybe expect like King Gambit, because I think King Gambit can be really strong to Gardevoir and the Hydreigon.
Right.
But instead, it is just the immediate armor, so maybe thinking one level ahead. But instead, I think Annihilate's actually in a really bad spot right now. So I like the Protect here just to, you know, bait out some damage and see what BoxBox is going to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. We see the Protect from Annihilate. No Helping Hand this time. Imprison, which means Indeedie's not going to get to move because both of the moves that it uses after. There's Dazzling Gleam. Armor Cannon. Nice play.
Oh, wow.
That's perfect targeting.
Clock's ticking.
Clock's ticking. Gardevoir's health is dropping. And the thing is, ordinarily you'd say, okay, well, like, I sealed Trick Room, but there's no way to get rid of these Pokemon quickly, right? Like, how do you remove them before, like, without taking so much damage?
The problem is there's just essentially no damage output from Void's end. Like, Annihilate is a Pokemon that generally wants to stay on the field for a long time, get hit multiple times so it can stack up those Rage Fist stacks. But here right now, the best thing you can do is maybe Drain Punch Inity. You know, it's really risky to Rage Fist and Armarouge because Inity could just follow me, redirect that and then Inity is immune to it. So it's really tough. Like, I could see both of these Pokemon going down very quickly, and so you're going to have to play defensively, maybe try to fish in a switch into what you have in the back. But yeah, I think sticking with Inity Armarouge and just playing offensively here is so strong, and this might just pick up a double KO.
Force. That could be huge. The Psychic Terrain boosting Expanding Force power. Drain Punch, not very strong at all. Annihilate only really a threat once it starts setting up. And Gardevoir didn't protect. It goes for the Dazzling Gleam. That is
so
not very much damage. Expanding Force!
Oh my God.
Is it going to KO Gardevoir? Helping Hand boosted. Life Orb boosted.
It's survived.
Oh my God. This Gardevoir eats its Wheaties.
It's because it's shiny.
I think it had a Juvie before the game, man. Like, it's so much energy right now.
How has BoxBox been making the correct play every turn? I'm actually astounded. It's very impressive, right?
It really is.
I think Gabby must have sent him a game plan,
That's
too,
right.
to be
He's
able
a fast
to help
learner.
him out.
Yeah, the combination of Gabby and BoxBox really coming through here. And
Powerful.
Gardevoir might have telepathy.
Telepathy.
Yeah,
I think that's
keeping it
so
safe.
cool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Garchomp would kind of be stuck using Rock Slide, which is just much weaker, not 100% accurate. But because of the telepathy ability, and Gardevoir just barely surviving here in a much stronger position. I love the way Void has used Garchomp this game.
If you grass Terra Armarouge, though, and like
Expanding Force.
Earthquake comes out, Helping Hand, Expanding Force could pick up a double KO right now.
Definitely could.
True.
That's why I kind of like the Rock Slide play from Void, because, you know, I'm scared of that, and it's going to do a lot of damage. So might as well try and flinch the Armarouge.
Oh, we're counting down on the timer, locks it in.
Oh, no,
Terra!
No
this
way.
is likely just going to be a double knockout right now.
It would be hard to
Should
survive
be.
an Earthquake, plus Gardevoir's using Dazzling Gleam. There's telepathy. Earthquake comes out, and Didi might survive. Armarouge falls.
Single target here, too, should be enough to knock out that Indeedee as well.
Absolutely. Dazzling Gleam.
BoxBox is not looking happy.
BoxBox is not looking happy there. Oh, down to his last two Pokemon, but Gardevoir is low. If it's Garchomp in the back, actually, it's not.
No, he picked King Gambit and Torkoal.
Oh, once again, okay.
Yeah, and it's rough because I think he would have hoped to be able to knock out the Gardevoir and then set up Trick Room. He was in a pretty good place to do that.
Yeah.
What's really tough here is that these Pokemon don't have Protect. So now that you're in a position where you can't, you know, save yourself from these strong attacks, it's looking dire.
It's looking dire.
I think also BoxBox looked like he was confused because Gardevoir's telepathy went off as well. That's not something that I think is often thought about because that's not an ability we see all the time.
No, it's pretty. Actually, only very few Pokemon even have the ability, and then even the ones that do, like, you have to. Like, you're not always in a position to even activate it. And Void, I think, correctly assessing here. Hey, Garchomp, both these Pokemon are weak to ground. Torkoal can't do anything to stop the fire to the ground type attacks. King Gambit at best can Terra. And we saw from last game that Earthquake can KO Torkoal. So we're getting another look at it and see if it's a roll or not.
And I think it's really important that Psychic Terrain, so King Gambit does have a way out of this with Sucker Punch if there wasn't Psychic Terrain, which blocks the priority moves.
Yeah. So here's the Terra Ground from Garchomp, boosting its damage significantly with the Life Orb. It's going to be doing a lot. The question is, did BoxBox Terra here, and can his Pokemon survive? Sucker Punch, unfortunately, blocked by Psychic Terrain.
It's so tough.
It's really tough. Earthquake comes out, and it's gonna be really tough to come back from this one, I think.
This Gardevoir was so impressive, though.
Really?
Like, surviving Life Orb, Helping Hand, Armor Cannon, and that's just a double knockout.
Yeah.
So this is a really hard matchup, honestly, though, for BoxBox, because it's like you can't really set up Trick Room very easily because Gardevoir kind of just completely disables it.
Yeah.
Rotom, I think, could be an interesting adjustment to bring, essentially, because at least, like, it kind of walled the Garchomp a little bit, but I think the problem here is that Void just always has faster Pokemon, essentially. And so, like, the best approach is to maybe, like, knock out Gardevoir and then set up Trick Room, but that's so difficult to do.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Totally. And he tried
He
real
did
hard.
try.
Yep.
I think that, like, you know, with the position BoxBox is in, like, it was going to be tough always, right? He could have tried to do like a hybrid mode as like leading one Trick Room setter like Armor to force the Trick Room, and then an offensive Pokemon like Rotom or Garchomp. But I mean, it was like, listen, if you're BoxBox, like, it must be frustrating to.
I'm only pausing for a second because I think I heard BoxBox say he wanted to Terra Grass the Armarouge.
Yes.
Oh.
So I think that's why he was confused, because it's tough. If you go back in the menu to re-click a new move, it removes the Terra that you had selected.
Oh my
so
gosh, that's
there were a few
brutal.
things that happened there, I think.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, is that what was happening? Wait, you tried to Terra?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
man.
rough.
Sucks.
Did I do something wrong?
No.
No.
Do you want to actually?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go.
Would you sit down, like, because we?
Yeah.
I just want to say, so you're obviously you haven't like played Pokemon that long. You looked like a pro player.
Yeah.
You were making that was probably I'm gonna go out and limit it. That's probably the worst matchup we're gonna see all day. It's really unfortunate we had it first. You made the best play like every turn for like most of those games. Like, it didn't work out because there was like a, you know, Void had like a really good matchup, played really well, and you know it was just really difficult. But like you walking away from that, you should still feel really good because you legitimately played near perfectly. Like, I think all of us would have played. We could not have played better, and we likely would have played worse there.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, my coach gave me like a quick like paragraph on everybody. So she like wrote out what she thought everyone was gonna do, and what he opened with was exactly that. So the first two turns were like pretty solid. After that, I started going like off the rails.
Yeah.
There was a small production issue, and I could actually hear the casters during part of it. And I heard you like call out like the Terra thing, and I was like, oh, I can't do it now.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's not your
Sorry.
fault.
Hopefully we'll fix that going forward.
But the second round, I knew for sure to do it because I literally got one shot by it.
Yeah.
And then I pressed R. I don't know what happened.
So basically, if you what likely happened, we saw we had Void's perspective, so we couldn't see exactly. But basically, if you select R and then you decide like, oh, I'm going to change my move and back out, it will like you need to press
Remove
R
it.
again.
Yep.
So what probably happened is you went to Terra, then we're like, oh, let me double check, back out, check something, and when you went back in, it didn't save that, and so it went back to like default no Terra.
Yeah.
I see.
So
Because we
that's
saw you get confused, and I was like, hang on a second, like something funny happened here.
Yeah.
And then we heard you talking about it, and I was like, oh no, like that's what was going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that the first two turns I felt really proud of.
Yeah, you
you should be.
legitimately
You played
played
so
You
well.
really
Yeah.
should.
That was
I
great.
You
also
should be
thought
proud.
Gardevoir would faint in that
I
first
did
game,
too.
and I was like, wow, like that was a brilliant, like, and it actually was so bulky, it still survived.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else you could have done there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I don't get the Trick Room off, Torkoal does nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah.
The hit off, it's still really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard in the Garchomp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like it was
for sure.
really like it was like again. I think it's the worst. I hope it's the worst matchup we see all day because there was like not much you could do there, and you still found a way to make both games like look pretty close in my opinion.
It was almost a 50-50.
Yeah. I thought Torkoal was gonna live. Yeah, so if you actually hand the mic to Void because I'd love to hear Void's thoughts as well if you don't mind. Would you? Yeah. Sorry.
Dude.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I feel like I got, what is it? Whiplash?
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was some of the best I've ever fought against Indeedee Armarouge.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, first of all, he just knows straight up what I'm doing. He's calling out my protect. Like, what am I supposed to do?
The protect reads were ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
they're
was
so
this-
good.
really
This is literally a
impressive.
specific tech for this specific team that just so happens to be my round one. And it's about to be down to a 50-50. And I feel like I did the textbook things right, and everything else is just getting destroyed. And I was like, BoxBox just started playing like 2 days ago, man. Dude.
I have a question.
yeah.
Was Gardevoir like? Did you like train it to survive that attack?
No, not specifically.
Oh, okay.
If it did, that is purely just being fortunate. But if I'm not mistaken, in my first iterations of Gardevoir, she was more so built to like, she's already naturally tanky, so I built her more offensively. But if I'm not mistaken,
Yours is
this
definitely
Gardevoir
tanky.
has max special defense.
Got it.
And special defense nature.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. You have a lot of HP
Yeah.
investment. I could
Yeah.
tell. I can tell
Yeah.
that just by
Sense.
looking
It's
at it.
literally
So
like, I think, special defense, HP, and 4 on special attack.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
it
surprised by that.
Just
because
so happens to be just enough to live the helping hand armor
Yeah.
cannon. Like 3 health.
Yeah.
I don't know if it could min-max, but if that was min-max, like, I'm just lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes, team building to get to that point is what's important.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if Gardevoir goes down to both in game 1 to the Helping Hand Armor Cannon and in game 2 after the Armor Cannon and Helping Hand Expanding Force, I think that game looks very...
That's it.
It's very different. And so,
Trick Room comes up. Game 2, I didn't bring Amoonguss because sometimes I feel like Amoonguss can be good, but again, I think I talked to you guys about it on the way here. I don't want the Trick Room to go up anyway.
Yeah.
And then game 1, I was like, dude, this Amoonguss is useless.
Yeah.
If he comes out last, I already used my Terra because I want to try to make
You
sure these
earthquaked it
things
twice.
die. Yeah. And, I'd rather leave it up to Hydreigon, like, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're gonna jump to a quick ad break or ad read, I should say, before the next match. But yeah, thank you guys so much and great play, and you should both feel really good because
super great
very
play.
impressive. You couldn't have asked for a better starting match.